Hello and welcome to the Gallant Few podcast. My name is Mason Stewart and I'll be your host, or better known referee, I think, for tonight. This is our Euro 2024 preview show. This is normally we would do call it a Premier League pod, and those that have listened all season, this is a little special one for you to preview Friday's game, and then obviously the tournament starting with Scotland opening, so quite a nice going into that. Joining me tonight, I've got the boss, Colin. How are you, Colin?
I'm good, Mason. Always a pleasure to be on with the real men who know football in the Gallant Few network, because they stay far away from Rangers.
We'll definitely talking about Johnnie and Jamie there, haven't we? We've also got Johnny. How are you, Johnny?
I'm grand, mate. Thank you. Absolutely buzzing for Friday, and great to be back in the pod.
Lovely stuff. And last week we got Jamie. How's things, Jamie?
Mason, I'm doing brilliant. Thank you very much. Considering that there's been absolutely no football, I'm climbing the walls. I've started decorating. I need football to happen, or else she's going to start getting me cutting a lawn or something. So
it only takes a couple of weeks, innit? And then it is literally can't wait for that season to start again. But as I said, we do have a tournament in a couple of days to look forward to. Colin, what's your thoughts around this tournament coming? I know there's a little bit mixed feelings with quite a lot of football people, really, in terms of international football. Are you looking forward to this one?
I am going to be the world's biggest hypocrite. Every listener who's listened to any Gallant Few show where I spoke about international football, I've spoke about it ripping the heart out of me through my arsehole, because it happens during the season. I hate international breaks. I absolutely adore summer international tournaments. I think it's just a stop-start nature of like the qualifiers, and it always comes at a big point in the season. And in England and Scotland, there's always like teams getting in a bit of momentum and then bang, international break. But I do love the tournaments. I do. I was saying off air, my utopia would be we stop football in January for 4 to 6 weeks and just have a qualifying campaign for international football, and then 18 months later you have the summer tournament. I don't know why nobody's thought of that. If Sepp Blatter is even the FIFA president anymore, if somebody wants to give me a phone, I'll talk them through my blueprint model. So to answer your question, buzzing for the tournament.
Listen, I think we'd all be behind that idea. I know I definitely would. Johnny, what about you? Obviously, Scotland, following Scotland. Is it a case of really, really looking forward to this one and going to get behind them?
I think it has to be, mate. It has to be. I've been getting no end of stick for Jamie for about 3 weeks in the build up to this. And my point on it's pretty much stayed pretty consistent, that we don't have the bullshit that England do. And I say that with respect. We don't have the ties. We don't have the pressure. We don't have, we're going to win every tournament. We have to win it. We don't have that. We just go and enjoy. I would like to see them maybe set a wee bit higher bar, try and get through that group. I think we would have to scrape it, but I would love to see that, just that wee bit extra step, just to show, because that's the best qualification we've had in fuck knows how long, a long time. So something just to show that that improvement is there. That would be nice. But no, I'm just really looking forward to it, mate. I'm going to enjoy it and take it for what it is.
Lovely stuff. And Jamie, we started earlier. Fireworks are in. I like it. Same for you. You must be feeling like this is the one that England have got to win.
I'm actually more the opposite. I'm quite critical of England, but I'm very much in Colin's camp. I absolutely detest international breaks. I hate the disruption it causes. I hate the fact that we end up with 7 players injured when they come back 2 weeks later and they're out for 3 months. It absolutely grinds my gears. But there's something about the summertime tournaments that come around, and I can't help but start getting into patriotic mode. Living in Scotland for the best part of 34 years now, everybody seems to think that I was part of William Wallace's film, and politely tells me so. So I kind of find it hard to not get sucked in and retaliate with, flags in the back garden and everything just to wind the neighbours up. So I kind of look forward to it, but I'm definitely not this is England's time. We're the ultimate biggest shithouses. We have all the talent in the world. It always falls flat in our face for one reason or another. I always look forward to the fact that we get to play Scotland, but I don't think it'll happen this time if you guys don't get out of the group. Short one. See that?
This is going to turn into more a question time style debate, Mason. When you've got the Tory party and the Labour party, and I'll be just a random idiot you get to.
Just some weirdo throwing rocks from the side.
Talking to rocks, it would have made my absolute year if you would have made that statement about flags and a brick came right behind that window. Get it right round you. It's going to happen.
I've got baseball bats at every door, every exit of my house, just to chase off anybody that decides to try and climb my BT mast that's in the garden.
I'm just saying I know your address. Just leave it at that.
There's still time. There's definitely still time. Colin, let's start with Scotland then. Question I want to come to you with: what's your thoughts on Steve Clarke? He was the popular appointment at the time. Seemed like the sort of best appointment, and there's no denying what he's done for Scotland and the improvements that's been there. Obviously, back-to-back Euros, not qualifying for a tournament so long, and then all of a sudden to do that, there's got to be credit. But there is also a lot of criticism that comes his way in terms of style of play and even sometimes the way that Steve Clarke can come across. He can be very, very negative, quite hard to listen to if I'm honest. But one thing I can't say about Steve Clarke is he's definitely improved Scotland.
Yeah, I think it's important to take a bias away when we talk about international football, particularly with the summer tournaments. Whether you think of Steve Clarke personally, I don't think you can doubt that he's a talented coach. He does. He's got a track record of getting limited players to play a level above, and I think he's done that really, really well for Scotland since he came in. Where I think he has struggled is to consistently utilise the talent he's got. So if we look at John McGinn, like Armstrong, Billy Gilmore, like all players who've been playing in and around the Premier League the last 2 or 3 years, you've got Andy Robertson, Kieran Tierney, some really talented players. It's not really in Steve Clarke's nature to really build these teams to allow these players to flourish. And I say that consistently. I say he's not done that consistently. There has been elements, Johnny mentioned, that it's been one of the best qualifying campaigns that probably in living memory for any Scotland fan, but it's just we always seem to revert back to type to try and soak up pressure. And I don't know if I'm just being too naive. As a Scotland fan, I don't think we always need to do that. If I think back to the last tournament, I thought we could have went and had a go against Czech Republic. We probably nailed the game plan against England, but the other games, I think they take a foot off the pedal. So I thought this might have been a tournament that he does it. I think he might be a bit hesitant because of his injuries and go back to type, and that will be my concern.
I agree, Johnny. I'll bring you in on that. I agree with Colin there. I think that's going to be the big test for Clarke here. I think you said it yourself, and Colin just said it there about the qualifying campaign was very, very good. Scotland were consistent, got some really good results. But since they qualified, I think is it no wins in 6 or 7 now. I mean that you can look into it however you want, I guess. But I think in this tournament and especially on Friday night, I just hope he doesn't set up and just sort of sits in, and then all of a sudden all that sort of the good stuff that through the qualifying campaign we've seen is gone.
Yeah, there's absolutely a chance of that, mate. And I don't just say that from a Scotland point of view. The first opening games are notoriously cagey, regardless of competition. You'll see the best teams in Europe or in the world at either competition who just don't turn up in the first game or just don't want to lose. They're happy to get that point. You might see an element of that, like you've said. Clarke has done well, but he can be incredibly negative. He can revert. He can revert to, if it's not been working perfectly, you start reverting back to way before what you were doing to try and amend something. and that could spell disaster. But I don't want to be doom and gloom about it. I don't want to overread it. For me, I've had this discussion a few times. We play games we absolutely don't need to. It goes back to what Colin was saying, and Jamie, with this oversaturated fixture load with internationals, where people do get tired of them because we play just an abundant amount of tornado bait football. We go and play, we're on a great run, we're looking excellent, we've qualified, everything was going perfect. Then we play an international, we played a friendly against England, I believe, they caned us. 3-0, was it, Jamie? Is that right? 3-0, 4-0? It's around about there. We played a friendly against France in that time. They caned us as well. Games that we didn't need to be playing. After that is when things started to slide a bit, because that took a confidence dent. Yeah, it's only a friendly, it's meaningless, but it's still going to hurt the players. It's still going to hurt the rhythm. It's games we don't need. So I think for what you're talking about, that poor run and that, it kind of came after that. I think the last one prior we beat Cyprus, and then that's when we lost to England. We lost to Spain. Although the Spain game, I thought that was on the cards anyway. We done well to beat them. I didn't think we were going to do it a second time. But then we go and play France straight after that and get wellied again. So yeah, all came for there. But that doesn't mean it can't be rectified at the group stages, mate. Looking at it on paper, Germany's your standout. You have to fancy them, especially as hosts. After that, I think it's a skeet shoot. I think all of them definitely have the ability to beat each other. They're all decent. They've all had a decent qualifying. Even Hungary are looking pretty good. So I think they've got a shout, mate. I really do. I don't want to look too far back and look at the most recent results, or you would end up just being captain pessimistic. I don't want to do that.
No, that's totally fair. Makes some good points there. Jamie, just looking at this Scotland squad, who do you think is the key men here? And obviously, I'll throw into that the injuries that Scotland have had before the tournament as well, to Patterson and Hickey down that right hand side. I think that's a big one. Even not being biased, but I think John Suter, would have had a really good chance of playing. He's obviously got injured, and then throwing in Lewis Ferguson, who just got voted the best midfielder in Serie A last season, and then Lyndon Dykes as well. So I think there's Scotland are going into this quite weak, but have still got players obviously that can do the damage as well.
It's kind of funny because you go back to the very start of qualifying and you say to any Scotland fan, you qualify in second place, you take 17 points. 17 points. You score 17, concede 8, but you'll take a shitload of injuries before the tournament starts, which you take it. And every single one of you would have snapped off the hand, because obviously Scotland's track record of getting to final or getting to chat tournaments is probably not where it should be. I think what Johnny said, that Scotland kind of had this crest of results where they were absolutely pulling off victories that nobody potentially saw them happening. The Spain game is a standout, and I think you went over to Norway and you actually done Norway over there, didn't you? Holland played that game. These are the games that you wouldn't have expected Scotland to get anything from, but you went over there and you turned them over. You've hit a blip now, but you would have taken that blip now. You would have taken it and said, do what it needs to happen, do what needs to be done when it's time. Have your blip when it's time. What they need to do is kind of get back into the tournament mode. And as Johnny says, it's kind of Scotland I feel like they run on energy more than tactics, because when I think of Scotland playing right now, for example, the striker option, you could throw anybody in there right now. The striker's not important. Lyndon Dykes, Shanklin, it's not. It's about how the midfielders and the wing-backs perform, because when they all work in sync, you end up with about 3 or 4 of them in the box trying to take shots. That's how McTominay ends up with, I think he got 7 goals in the qualifiers, because the strikers weren't, not that they weren't performing, but they were your link-up man more than anything else. I like the idea that Shanks will probably play, purely for the fact that Shanks actually is probably more of a goal scorer than somebody like Dykes, which I think Clark would have been more prone to use, because that's his tried and trusted. He's more the target man up front, bring it down, win a free kick, get the team up. Shankland, from what I've seen about him in Scotland, is more of a in the box kind of a player. The header on the 6-yard line can kind of, the poacher as well. So I think it kind of moves Scotland up further a little bit in terms of a link-up play. But I think it was Johnny that said it. Your play's going to come from McGinn. It's going to come from McGregor. It's going to come from McTominay. All these boys need to be firing. Robertson, I would argue, being a Liverpool fan, Robertson's probably not been great since he came back from his injury. He's been consistent, but his tackling, his ferociousness and the challenge has been nowhere near what it normally is. He can't afford not to be like that for Scotland because he's the captain. Do you know what I mean? So I think Clark does have his ways. He's very similar to Southgate in this point. If he doesn't do it this tournament, is it time for him to move on? He's laid the foundations, and I know I'm probably jumping to the end, but what I mean is that Clark might be forced into trying to play these games, the way you want to see them. That could be a poison chalice, and the fact that you leave yourselves too open and he goes, told you. But it also means that you could actually play a little bit of football that you're probably not used to seeing when it comes to tournament football. The reality of it is you need those first points on the board. If Scotland get their first point on the board come Friday night, they're going to be up for it. The problem is if they have a loss and then they don't get a win the next game and it becomes damage limitation more than anything else. I said to Johnny last night, I would not be surprised if Scotland won the first game and then didn't win the next 2 games, because they'd be so up for it that when the fans get involved, the players react to it. They're going to be up for it come Friday night. I can feel it. Johnny says as well, the opening games are always cagey. Scotland will be right up for it. I think they'll probably go into it with no fear, which is exactly what you want. But the moment they get those points on the board, there is fear then, because you've got something to lose. And that's when it becomes into the second game and the third game.
This might be controversial, Mason, but I think this is the perfect opening game for Scotland. Every team in Scotland's level need to play a Germany or a Spain or an England. You need to play the big hitter. Get out of the way first. Don't be relying on it. Because there's always nerves for every game, every team's first game. A cagey game will suit Scotland to a T. We know Steve Clarke gets a team very well disciplined, full of energy, as Jamie says. The pressure's on Germany here. That's the best opportunity to try and play one of the big hitters, in my opinion.
Imagine what the commentary would be like if it's 0-0 at half time.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? It'll be mental. And that's what Clark won't need time talk. He'll just go listen to this and see what they do.
Colin, it's going to be a real expectant sort of German crowd as well. And this isn't a Germany that in recent years we've seen, semi-finals, quarterfinals, and even finals, and be a real solid force. I think, if I'm being honest, this is one of the worst German teams I've seen since I started watching football. I think they've been really, really poor, especially in the last tournament when England were comfortably beaten that day. I thought Germany were terrible. And obviously reports this week, there's been a training bust up as well. So as you said, that might fit right into Scotland's hands going into this first game.
Yeah, I think so. All the pressure is on Germany here. It really is. Even though they haven't been excellent in the last few tournaments, there's always that added weight of expectation when you're the home nation. I do think Germany should still be considered one of the favourites, but I don't think we can rest too much on their last couple of tournaments. They've got a lot of aging players, players the other side of 30. Obviously, Tony Cruz is like about 52 now. This will be his last tournament. I do really like some of the players they've got in midfield. I think they bring a lot of energy. Is it Wirtz? And I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but Musala. I think they'll be big players for Germany. So there's, I don't think they're out of the big 5, the big 6. I don't think they're the bottom out of them. For example, I think they're well ahead of Spain and Portugal in terms of their chances of the tournament.
Germans kept one clean sheet in the whole of the qualifiers. That's the difference in the German that I see now. As Colin says, it's not. I don't think it's the worst German. I think it's just that we don't know a lot of the players right now. You think of the Germany, you think of the world superstars. They still have Stegen in goals, but he's nowhere near what the kind of Stegen there was, 3 or 4 years ago when he was at Barcelona. Their defense is Rudiger, Jonathan Tah, who's just had a great season for Leverkusen. And then I don't know much of the other ones because they rotate them, maybe Kimmich. And that's where Scotland probably need to focus. And the fact is, if they get past that middle line, as Colin says, Musiala is very attacking. Wirtz is always at the top. Havertz got to come deep. The moment they get past that German midfield, I think it's game on.
Yeah, Johnny, just back on Scotland. What areas of that Scotland team worry you a little bit in terms of? I think the obvious one for me is that defence. I think that is a problem for Scotland. I think left-hand side going forward, they're very good, by the way. Even the other night against Finland, I thought Robertson and Tierney, I think they combine really well and they'll cause anyone problems down that side. But the rest of the defence, and Grant Hanley, if he is to lead, be the man in that middle of the defence, I think that's definitely a cause concern. But is there anywhere else in the team that would sort of worry you in this tournament?
I would agree, mate. The defence, I mean, let's just say it for what it is. It is pretty shite. As you say, we've had injuries, absolutely. Hanley, I don't know why he's shitting the boy when we're going to go into a tournament in a few days. But, I reckon I could pull one boot on and probably do a better job as pairing somebody else. He's not up to that, mate. I don't think so. But it is what it is. We've got what we've got. And what worries me is our lack of depth, mate. We've got a lot of boys there who are not experienced at that level. And something I was discussing recently again and I think England are very much in this camp too, that you can look great at club level. You can have the season of your life, whether you're playing north of the border, south of the border, or abroad. It doesn't matter. And a lot of the time, these players will be playing against teams who will sit off, who will let them play, who will let them have a crack. You're not getting any of that in international football, even against the worst. You'll have other teams who, they'll be open. Other teams are open, susceptible to attack. International football, that's not there. You have to go and find it. So a lot of these new lads who haven't had a lot of international level football, again, England and Scotland, I think it's a big difference, and I think that worries me a wee bit. One thing you said, you were talking about but obviously Dykes is one. I think that, although I don't think I would have Shankland over Dykes personally, I think Dykes is a great option against certain teams. I think it depends who you're playing. Like if you're playing Germany, I would have thrown Dykes up there just to mix it with Rudiger, because I think Shankland will probably get bullied all over the park. That's just personal. He's much smaller framed. He's not as much as a bully boy up top. So there's a wee bit of concern there. But like you said, there was a bust up and Rudiger was involved. Maybe we'll get lucky and he gets dropped. But I mean, I don't know, mate. We've not got the best squad in the world. I'd say it's relatively balanced. But some of the new lads have came in. I don't know a lot about the lad that came in for Bristol. Was it City? It was City, wasn't it? Name's away again.
Tommy Conley.
Yeah. Has he been good this season? I should know better than that, but I don't know a hell of a lot. I was surprised by that one.
I think he's only 20, 21 and he's been playing for Scotland under 20s. Do you know what? I went to the game with my wife, West Ham game earlier in the year. And they played.
Fucking you were a West Ham fan.
We went to the Bristol City in the FA Cup, and he scored for Bristol City, and I thought he was very, very good. But he played off the left, so
right.
Be interesting. But yeah, that was where he sort of caught my eye. I don't think he's been clinical and scored. I think he got about 8 or 9 goals, but he has been playing across the front three. So
maybe it's a wee bit braver for Clark. Maybe I'm doing him a disservice. It's just that if you're going into the major, just says, there's deep ends and then there's being thrown off an Olympic diving board. That's a jump. It's a big leap. Listen, it doesn't mean the boy's got to do badly. Hopefully he does do well. hopefully does well. Yeah.
Is Che Adams definitely gonna? Is he a bit touch and go then at the minute in terms of fitness? Because I would have thought he would be. I know Shankland's played the last couple of friendlies, but I still think Adams will be the first pick if he's fit.
He scored the other night, didn't he? But I don't know if Shankland and Adams both started, but I think Adams might have came on after him actually.
Adams came on in the Gibraltar game, but he didn't feature against Finland.
Yeah, honestly, mate, I don't know what I expect. I really don't know what he starts with. I think we can guess the spine. We can maybe get about 8 of those players, but like you say, there's been a lot of the balance tipped a wee bit with the injuries. So I'm really not sure what I expect. I am in agreement with Germany though, with what Colin was saying, and Jamie, that the pressure is on them to perform. Everybody's expecting us to get caned. They're expecting a whitewash. So I think it's the best time, ideal time to play them. And I think my concern remains that I don't think Clark goes for that game. I think he's going to play and try not to lose. Doesn't mean he won't get the point, but I do not see him going out to try and be adventurous at all.
No. And just one for you all, gents. So prediction, Jamie, do Scotland get out of the group?
Sadly, I think Germany and Hungary will have that honour, and I think Scotland will have to fight it out for the worst thirds? Is it? I think you can get through. I think
That's
3 of the
getting out the group, mate.
I said they can fight. I said they can fight it out. I'm trying to be diplomatic. I'm trying to offer you an olive branch. Typical.
Colin, do Scotland get out of the group?
Yes, they will. I'm not just saying that with blind optimism. I do think they're good enough to get out of the group. Again, like copy and paste everything we said about the game plan and tactics, but I think they will.
Johnny, do you think they will?
I think we get through, mate. I think we scrape it. I think we scrape it by Jamie's Willy Wonka's golden ticket route into the third place. Not the real way, but I do think. I think it's going to be close, mate. I really do. I think the 3 teams in there, it's going to be a scrap, but I'd love to see it, so I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to be bold and say I think Scotland finish on a point. I think they get a point.
Well, listen, Scotland.
Johnny nearly fell off his chair. Did you see that? Look.
Scotland have never got out of the group at a major tournament, so if it is to happen, it will be a first. Jamie, let's switch attention to England then, and question to you. Question to you. We're going to start with is thoughts on Gareth Southgate, because there has been a lot of noise about him even before this tournament, after the last Euro final losing to Italy. I think a lot of England fans that want to see him gone after this tournament, regardless what happens. But I think when you actually look through it, he's done some good there. What's your thoughts on Southgate?
As a player, as a manager, he's not my kind of go-to person. He's not been the greatest to watch. However, you have to show some respect on what he's actually done with the team, because to get to the finals that he has and get as close as he has, whilst probably uniting the fans to the point that the fans are actually enjoying watching England games and being behind England games, compared to previous where there was just so much toxicity, shall we say. He's kind of pulled that together, and you can see that within the team. And I probably wasn't aware up until since Gareth Southgate come in, what that England divide actually looked like. And then you're starting to hear from what the actual players are talking about, when they found out they've all retired and kind of gone into these podcasts, and they're talking about how they hated international football because Liverpool sat on one table, Man United sat on another, and that would be terrible. And I think first thing Gareth Southgate did is he kind of eradicated that. I seen something the other day. It was funny. It was Jude Bellingham coming off after the Champions League final. He had a week off, then he joined up with the squad, and they did like this video of him kind of coming in, and he got out of the car and a woman went up and took his bag, but he also took his mobile phone out and put it in like a safe box. So straight away, all the England players get rid of all the social media, they get rid of all the contacts, they put it to one side and they're there for England. I kind of like that. I really do. I kind of, it kind of helps build that unity that you can see. That's because of Southgate. You can't say it's not. He's changed the ethos about it. He's installed some values that you would want to see. I'm kind of at the point, though, my question about Southgate has always been, when you get to a final or when you get to a semi-final, does he have the minerals to change it? And what I mean is, like, he's got abundance of talents to choose from, and his starting 11 is always going to be scrutinised because somebody will have a different opinion. You go, does he go with Palmer? Does he go with Saka? Does he go with Foden? I mean, I'm sure Steve Clarke would like those options. Do you know what I mean? But see, when you're 60 minutes in and you've not had a shot on target and you're playing defensive football when actually you've got four attackers, does he have the ability to see that and change that and be bold with his changes? Up until this tournament, I would say no. But the fact he's went back on his word and left people like Rashford, Sterling, his normal go-to people behind, I'm kind of hoping this is going to be a different Southgate and he does have a bit of stones about him. I'm kind of hoping that he does. And see, if he goes out, that's fine, because then nobody can say, well, he didn't have a go. Do you know what I mean? He didn't have a go with all the talent he did. So I kind of hope he does himself a bit of justice, if you like, because I'm not exactly Southgate out, but I do have questions about Southgate, is probably the best way to put it.
Colin, what's your thoughts on the England squad selection? Obviously, as Jamie just said there, Rashford been left out, Grealish, Maddison, Sterling. I agree with him personally, but what was your thoughts on that? Was there anyone there that you would have liked to see from an England point of view? You think they should have been in the squad?
I really rate Jack Grealish as a footballer. I think that's probably the biggest one for me. But again, that's just probably on an individual level. When you look at the squad, like, as England are littered with talent, middle to front. I'm kind of in the same boat as Jamie here. It's refreshing to see Southgate going with something different, going with the form players, and I didn't quite hit it. I think he would have had the minerals in him. I like the look of the English. I'm getting real vibes of Spain in 2010, and I'm not going to say it's like for like comparisons of talent, but if you think back to that Spanish squad, like there was a lot of big names that they had to get rid of. Raúl, one of them, and the collective actually improved on that basis. So I think there's a real. I think there'll be a bit of unity around England in this summer tournament, and you see that with the build-up. Jamie's mentioned with social media, he's want a relaxed environment. He's trying to create that club ethos, and I think if you look at the players who were at the core players who got to the Euro 2020 final, which was played in whenever, and the quarterfinals of the World Cup, that core's still there, and I think we've taken away a lot of, it's maybe unfair to say egos, but a lot of players that maybe do capture the social media spotlight, like Grealish, Raheem Sterling, like for different reasons, of course. But I think is it too early for predictions? Is it? I'll leave it to the end. Oh, you're on mute, so I'm going to go ahead and
No, we'll save that.
Save it. But I do like the whole. It's not obviously quiet if you're in England and you're in that media bubble, but for outside looking in, quietly going about their preparation, I think that's not something you usually see with an England squad.
Johnny, just with that England squad, there's a lot of, as I said, we talk, all said it there, Southgate has been old and left players out. We've seen people like Mainu come in, Adam Wharton. It is quite a young squad as well when you're going through it. As a Scotland supporter, are you quite worried by this England squad? I know that in the last few tournaments, I think every year, as you said it, the media hype gets behind it, but I do feel like this is the best squad that England have had for quite some time.
No, I'm not worried. Somebody got a glue bag in here that I've not been passed. I'm not winning this. We've been here how many times? And I say the same mentality with Scotland, right? It's probably you have a wee bit of an inflated bit of belief. Probably why I said I think we go out the groups. That wee bit of extra belief, right? Even though the track record's terrible. England have pressure like no other. There's probably three nations worldwide that deal with the pressure that the English team do, and it's unavoidable. Yeah, and the media cause that. That's media. It's not they're doing it. It's the media cause the frenzy, and some of the fans just really don't think for themselves anymore. They just believe everything they read, and it causes this, and it causes this hype, this fever. They turn on their own players before a ball is kicked. It's already happening. They were turning on like the lad Mianu, the other night for the game against Iceland, a friendly, a bounce game. They were turning on him. And again, this is media. It creeps out into fans. It just, everything, the whole mentality is wrong. You need full encouragement. Absolutely, the ability is there, by the way. Not questioning that at all. Ability is there, and it has been for the third. Christ, we're on about 4 golden generations of players now. I'd say this to Jamie last night. We were chatting about it, and I said they should have won, I don't know, since the World Cup, 4 or 5 majors, minimal, with the squads that they've had, or at least been a hell of a lot closer than they have been. In terms of the players that he's brought in that, yeah, it's ballsy, mate. It's not really Southgate-esque. I think there is a wee bit risk. Again, inflating players. Again, I'm using Mianu as an example, and he's a phenomenal talent. I'm not calling that, but he's a prospect. He's nothing more, not yet. He's had half a season, if it's even half a season. Yes, he's looked excellent. Now he's thrown straight into a major tournament. He could face plant the pressure again, as I say. He starts building on the boy. You have no idea of the character, how that'll hold. I like the lad Adam Wharton. I thought that was a brave one. Really, really snappy player, and gets the ball moving fast. Something England, they were toiling the other night with that. I think he could be a good addition if they use him. I don't agree with the Grealish one. That's the only one I think is a risk. I understand why other fans are saying he's not done enough in that. I do get that, and I'd agree with that. In terms of the course of the season and that, he's not done enough. But if you need a player who can get the foot on the ball and get that ball at the pitch and get the whole team up there, because he can buy free kicks for fun. He can buy them and sell them from anybody in the world. I don't know if it's a good trait or a bad trait, but he's one of the best at it. And there's going to be games where they're going to need that. And they're not going to have that. They don't have that option. So I think there is a risk there. Considering the squad, you have enough, I think, to accommodate a Jack Grealish. I know you can't take them all, but for me, I would have took the risk in taking them with them. But I don't think they win it, mate. I think they fall short again, whether you want to call it bottle or maybe just not having this team. I don't know. I think they'll do well. In terms of 24, we're going, you didn't want full predictions, but basically, I don't see them winning it.
No, fair enough. Jamie, just on that, Johnny said there about Jack Grealish. Is there anyone else that as you said, from that list, you're surprised that's not in, or you would have had them in? And then on the flip side of that, where do you think the weakness is in that England squad?
The only one, so I think Grealish shouldn't have went. I was quite happy with that decision. I thought it was ballsy. Grealish didn't play in his last 6 games for Manchester City. He didn't get a single minute, and that was the cup. I think he came on for 2 minutes in the cup final. He's not playing nowhere near what his expected output is, and you've seen it from the media, for example, when the teams was announced. I think I've seen a piece today, and it was something like Southgate's 500 million team that he didn't take, and Jack Grealish is like 100 million. But they've labelled all this. See, if Jack Grealish goes and he sits on the bench and he doesn't start a game, that's the narrative. Southgate leaves 100 million player on the bench. So I think he's just went, I'm not taking that headache. I actually this is what I want to do, and I'm quite happy with that. He's taken Jared Bowen. He's taken Cole Palmer. He's taken Saka. He's taken Foden. He's taken Eze. Like, and more than enough, in my opinion, to cover the fact that Grealish is not there. The surprise for me is Branthwaite. He's arguably had a really good season. Obviously, he's playing for Everton, but he's been one of their best players this season. He's touted as a big money move this summer. Considering that defence is our weakest point of the team, I was surprised that he left him. I've got grave concerns about going into a tournament with Dunk and Trippier. Trippier playing left back. Me and Johnny were talking about this. Like, Trippier has been completely non-existent for the last 3 months from a playing perspective. He's been on the field, but he's got no returns, no clean sheets. He's been absolutely not great, and he's seen that in the last friendly. He just looked sluggish, like he just didn't want to be there at all. Southgate he's taken Joe Gomez, which I'm really happy with. Joe Gomez is a right-footed player, but Gomez has played half the season at left-back for Liverpool this season with cover for Robertson. So it's those kind of decisions that my thought process is with Southgate is, does he be bold and actually play somebody that's been playing left-back all season rather than going for his tried and trusted Kieran Trippier? He's taken Luke Shaw, who won't be fit for the first 2 games. Those kind of decisions are what I have a challenge with when it comes to Southgate. So the fact he didn't take Branthwaite, I was shocked at. Madison, quite happy with that. Curtis Jones was never going to go. He's always about the future. I think Jarell Quansah, it was more of a well done your season. You had a brilliant season for Liverpool. Come see what it's like at Wembley. Come see what's time with the England team. But he's always going to be about the future. And I think he left, was it Trafford, the goalkeeper, and I think there was one more. I can't remember who it was. I'm surprised he's taken 3 strikers because everybody predicted he would only take the one, but he's taken Watkins, Toney, and Kane. So again, I'm kind of okay with his decisions on who he took. The only one that surprised me really was Branthwaite, and that's just because Dunk's potentially not fit, Shaw's not fit, and Trippier's probably not great at the moment. That would be my one surprise.
It does cause a bit of a conundrum, though, because, we're talking about Grealish because he hasn't played a few games, and then you're going to take players who are injured for 2 games. Didn't see logic in that whatsoever.
Different positions, though, isn't it?
I know, but it's not like he's not got a host of options that he can replace those players with. It's not like he's got other people he can call up and say, look, you're injured. That is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Listen, the way I see it, we could have ended up with Calvin Phillips, Jordan Henderson, and all these people that we didn't want to go. So I'm kind of okay with the fact he's actually surprised us all and went with his decisions. At least we know it's his decisions, and he's making those choices. If he goes out on his choices, I'm kind of fine with that. It will be the in-game management that I'm more looking to change. If he persists with Trippier at left back and he's quite clearly not playing well, does he change it up? Can he move Kyle Walker to centre back and move Trent to right back? All those kind of things is where I'm wanting to see Gareth Southgate make ballsy decisions, shall we say.
Colin, just on the expectations and predictions for England, then where do you see this England team finishing in the tournament?
Genuinely think we're talking about finalists here. And I think I can say that I've never really bought into the anybody but England campaign, or I've never really bought into, because my club allegiances are like proud for the home nations. England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Republic of Ireland are just other countries. They're the same as Brazil, as far as I'm concerned. I just really like them middle to front. I think, just to go back over, I think he's done so well with trying to just build a collective and try and take away this. He's always got to have the media pressure. Johnny's right, but he's tried to manage that in squad. I think he's got a good group of players. He's got players who are going in form, but he's got some of the most talented players in the world in a position. Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, I think will be a really big player to allow the others to go play. And then, of course, Harry Kane. That's the one thing. Harry Kane doesn't win trophies. That might go against England. We know that. But I just think middle to front, we're talking about, if they don't win it, I think they are going to be in the final.
Yeah, that's fair. Johnny, so you've already said that you don't see them winning it, but would you agree with Colin? Do you think they'll make it to the final?
Nope. No. Yeah. Oh, Colin.
Tell us what you really feel, John.
They're just another country. No, they're no. No. I'm not playing that game. No. Get them to fuck. I'm only kidding. Partially, a wee bit. Seriously, football head on. A fancy semi-final for England. I think they get to the semi and they come against a tough team of France. Something like that. I think it'd be too much for them. And they would need somebody like... They would need the stars to align in terms of, like, say, France went out much earlier than expected or somebody like that. I need to see the bracket, but I think it would be France they would end up with if they go through top of their group, which I think they will. And France done the same. So if France were to get put out the stage before, then that would maybe change my dynamic and my thought process for the final. I still think they fall short, but ask me outright, I say semi-final to go out.
Yeah, and Jamie, where do you see England finishing?
Either the semis or the final. I personally don't think England will win it. My favourites are not England, but I do think England have got another final appearance in them. They came up against France 2 years ago, and we should have won the game. It was probably through. That was a Harry Kane penalty miss that meant that we didn't get through. We have that ability, and if we play, we've got a far more exciting team than what we did that time. I would say France are arguably, I'm not going to say that France are probably weaker than they were 2 years ago in terms of the personnel that they have available to them. And I think England potentially have France's number. So, like Johnny, I think I've got, and when I did my prediction bracket, I've got France and England in the semis, and England potentially go through to the final.
Colin, just change it and just some questions for the last 15 minutes.
Whoa, back. What about you?
Mason's still stuck on West Ham. Jared Bowen.
Shocking. I knew Colin would get me on that one. I don't think England will win it either, but I would agree with Colin. I think they'll get to the final.
Sure.
I think they're. I won't give you who I think will win it yet.
So here's a question then. So see on that. So we've all pretty much put him as either a semi-finalist or a finalist. Should Southgate lose his job if he does that?
Yes.
No.
I don't know if he loses his job, but I think if I'm him, maybe it's time to take the bow and realise that you've had a good few cracks at it, let somebody else take the reins rather than getting the punt, you know what I mean? I think punting them would be harsh, but an amicable kind of agreement.
Mason, you said flat out yes.
I think that this England squad and the squads previous, like Johnny said earlier, I think should have won a major tournament by now. And I think that Southgate's held them back at times. He's got them to the semi-final and finals. If you look back to that final against Italy, I think he did make a couple of changes.
Decisions made.
Yeah, and I think someone more forward-thinking and attack-minded Italy were there for the taking, in my opinion.
Do you know what my fear is? My fear is who's out there. We've seen an absolute manager merry-go-round at the moment, not going back to club football, but it's a bit of a fucking, you throw 50p in the air and you can drop all over the place in terms of what managers going where. What does that even look like for England? I think my concern would be is who could potentially come in.
Yeah, no, it's that is valid. I think, in fairness to Southgate, I think he's moving it forward.
Yeah.
But I just think it
needs to go up another level for it to actually get the line.
Yeah. I still think if England go against them top sides, I still think they've got the edge because it goes back to what Johnny said. Really, it's that know how to go over the line, and I think that has to come from the manager. But Colin, just to change it, then, who is your favourites? Who do you think will win this tournament?
I do genuinely think it's between England or France. I think just to go on to nail one to the gun and be a wee bit different, it will be England. I'll go with that. I think both of them have a lot of depth in terms of experience, and the core players that we're talking about. I'm really looking a lot at the last 4 years. A lot of these players who will be big players for England have almost went the distance in the Euros, and then they were narrowly put out by the World Cup at France. I think it will be whoever is, as Johnny says, like they might meet in the final, might meet in the semi-finals. Whoever wins that takes all. I think. I do find they have more quality than Germany, Spain, Italy, and Portugal. Who are probably just that bracket behind. So I'm going to say England and France just narrowly behind them.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to get in early. I agree with Colin. I'm going to go with France as well, and I think that'll be the two. Johnny, what do you think of? Who do you think's going to win it?
I'm France, mate. I think they will just do. They'll have enough, mate. Always a strong nation, always there or thereabouts. I've kind of got my semi-final bracket is Portugal and Spain on one side, with France and England on the other, and then Spain and France in the final in a very, very close game. France to edge it.
Jamie, what's your thoughts on that? Is it going to be a full house for France?
No. I'm with Johnny though. I've got Spain and Portugal, France and England in the semis, but Portugal are my favourites. And Portugal ooze class with the quality that they've got, from strikers to defenders. Absolute. You would argue you would probably take 90% of their team in any of the nations, man to man. I love the fact Cancelo, Diaz, the left back, the left footy centre back, Inacio. Dare I say it, Bruno Fernandes performs well at international with their midfielders, and then you're talking strikers, Rafael Leao, Diego Jota, Ronaldo. They just ooze so much quality. So, and the notorious shithouses when it comes to these tournaments. Portugal v England in the final. I mean, Portugal to win.
Portugal are not a bad shout. They do have a very good squad. I think they lack a bit of depth, but I think their first kind of 14, 15 are as good as anybody's.
Yeah. The good money as well than the odds. When you're looking at the odds, and I think England are something like 2-1, Portugal is sitting 7 and 8. I think they're dark horse for this.
I was actually thinking this last night, that how typical would it be if Portugal did win the Euros and Ronaldo just to sort of finish and
went
hit
up
back
in style.
Yeah, I mean, because everyone was going on about Messi, obviously at the World Cup, and everyone was unbelievable, winning a major tournament for. But Ronaldo
scored 2 goals again last night, I think, didn't he? Scored 2 more goals last night.
I don't think I could stick them winning it, or at least them having a good major. I mean, we've had shite and onions for how long? I mean, we're even getting it when he's playing in Saudi. I mean, cheesy peeps. Just stop it. If he wins a major, we will never hear the end of it, ever. Another major. Sorry, apologies.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, I had to go back on that. But I think it's a good shout, Jamie, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, definitely worth a punt. Colin, come back to you. What team do you think will surprise the most? I mean, there is every year a little surprise team in there. Who do you think that's going to be?
I'm going to go Slovenia. No, I'm probably just resting my laurels in 2 players here, Oblak and that's the boy up front who's rumoured to go for like 60 odd million or something. Is it Sesko?
Sesko. He's just signed a new contract with Red Bull Leipzig. He's going nowhere.
So he's going nowhere. So he's happy with where he's playing football. Exactly. He's going to get any double digits this tournament. You've just cemented my argument, Jamie. I don't know. I think that's out with England, Denmark, Serbia. I think Slovenia will look to finish second there, and then I think, I don't know. I fancy the good goalie keeping out one end, a player on fire on the other end. So, based on that and my absolutely terrible knowledge of European football, I'm going Slovenia.
That made me laugh, Colin. That just reminds me of the Premier League preview pod from last season, and you said Sheffield United would stay up.
That's literally here comes Sheffield United again.
When you said Slovenia, that was the first thing that flashed up there.
And to be fair, I followed that up with Paul Heckingbottom gets a bit of a half.
Johnny, who do you think? Do you agree with Colin there with Slovenia?
I don't know, mate. I'm still waiting for the TikToks for the predictions at this last season. I want to hear this Sheffield United claim live. Get it up. Uh,
I think the pod's been deleted now, actually.
yeah, I should go patriotic and scream Scotland, shouldn't I? Dark horses, I would probably have to go Hungary. Been excellent recently. They've been on an absolute tear. They have a strong unit, strong squad. I don't think they have many like absolute world beaters, but they do have a really, really good unit. They do have some stars in there, don't get me wrong, but they seem to just work really, really well. I think we're probably going to have a tough time in Hungary. So yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to go like crazy deep into the tournament, but I don't think many would expect them to get far at all. So yeah, that'd be my dark horse.
Yeah, Hungary I've got as well, Johnny. I think the last couple of tournaments I've been really impressed by Hungary as well, and I think I think if I was to pick one, I'd go with them as well. Jamie, anyone different in there?
I wouldn't say dark horses because I think all the main nations will be the standouts. What I am looking forward to watching though is Holland. They've got some exciting players right now. From an attacking perspective, Xavi Simons, you lads will remember Jeremy Frimpong, who's had an absolute whirlwind of a season over at Leverkusen. Front to back, they've got absolute ballers, and I think could not upset, but I think they could be a team, everybody will sit and kind of have a second favourite, if you like, to make, see how they get on. I really like the wing backs. I really like the strikers. Obviously, Van Dijk stands out for me. They've just lost a couple of players, though, through injury. Cooper Miners, who's had a great season at Atlanta, and Frankie de Jong. So, they are all over the place a little bit, but I'm looking forward to watching them.
Yeah, they've been disappointing in the last couple of tournaments, Holland. So it'd be interesting to see how they do perform at this one. Colin, who do you think the tournament's whipping boys will be this year?
Albania. And that's I do think they will get scrudded. I think that's a really, really tight group. Italy, Spain, Croatia, all nowhere near the peak of their powers, but I think you're still having all of them in that category to qualify. They'll take points off each other, and Albania will be passed about like a joint and afters. They'll have a terrible time.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. Johnny, who's your whipping boys?
It's hard to go against that, mate. I think the other three teams in the group are probably going to go through with a points and goal difference alone based on Albania. I think Georgia are going to have a tough time as well, but Albania are definitely going to have the hardest time. They've got a horrible group. It's absolutely wrong.
Jamie, anyone different for you in that one?
No, I think, if you were looking for a differential, I would have said Georgia, but I think Albania, and it's not because of Albania's strength, but it's just what else is in the group. Spain, Croatia, and Italy. You just expect Albania to, get absolutely done in. I actually think Poland will get a bit of a spanking this tournament as well. I don't see them picking up much. The team's going through a transition, if you like, man to man. Lewandowski's missing for the first game. They're all over the place at the moment. But if you're talking whipping boys in terms of goals scored against, you're probably going to go Albania, aren't you?
Yeah. No, that's a fair one. And Colin, last question of the night. Top goal scorer.
I think it's hard to go against Harry Kane. He's the obvious one. So I'm going to go for. I'm not going to try and be niche and out there with an alternative one. I think Harry Kane will bag them in. I think England have probably got the most solid out-and-out striker, nailed on striker.
6 penalties he'll get 6 penalties.
Coming from the chairman of the James Tavernier fan club, they all count, Jamie. They all count.
Yeah, I agree, Colin. I think Harry Kane as well, and sort of looking last night as well. I do expect quite a few of them to be penalties. So I'd go with Harry Kane with that. Johnny, you didn't like that answer at all, though, did you?
No, I just wanted to say, you fucking what, mate? No, I do get it. A solid striker, very, very complete. Good season over in Germany. I think a lot of people doubted when he went that he would hit the ground running, and he has. Even though they've not had the best season, he's been dynamite. And as Jamie says, he's on penalties too. Still going to go for Mbappe. I suppose they could play him on the left, and then it's not really talk. But I still think he does it, mate. He's done it before. Just a very, very smooth, classy player. And as I say, I fancy France to do quite well. I think they'll go deep into it. So I'll stick with him.
Yeah, that's fair. Jamie, any difference there?
I think it's between two people. I think it's between Mbappe, but considering just taking Portugal to win it, I'm going to call Ronaldo. Go out and die on a flame. You know, he's on penalties. He's going to be up. You look at the games that he'll be potentially playing. I see him scoring in those games if he starts. So I would probably say Ronaldo.
Yeah, no.
There's one we were discussing last night. I don't know your thoughts, just really brief. That we were talking about Belgium and you know how they've always been a team that a bit like England, especially let's say the last 10 years, that they should have been. They were expected to win something. What they had
should have been finalists at least.
Yeah, and Romy Lukaku is just seems to vanish and as a big game player, but he's had a dynamite qualifying. I don't think he's going to be top goal scorer, but I think he actually might do okay in this tournament. I don't know. It's maybe just wishful thinking. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I think Lukaku always does well for Belgium, though, doesn't he? To be honest, I think he's always quite a focal point, and as you say, he had a really good qualification. But I kind of forget about Belgium. Really, they've been so disappointing in the last few tournaments that I just don't think they've got the sort of bottle for it. Really,
I just think the big players just never really show up when it counts. But we were talking, because we were both, Jamie and I were talking about last night, and we were really surprised. I think, what was it? Was it 12 or 16 goals in qualification, Jamie? It was
I think it was like 14 goals and 7 assists he's got in qualification, which is absolutely mental.
It was crazy. So, just a thought.
Yeah,
I think for me, for Belgium, it's all about De Bruyne. And if we've seen De Bruyne in probably the last 2 months at City, he struggles to play a full 90 minutes. And I think without De Bruyne, then you look at, well, what's the alternative? You know, does Lukaku get the same kind of service? There's no Eden Hazard. There's who was the other winger that they had? He played for Napoli. He was absolute whippet. So he was. Is it Mertens? Like, they don't have those kind of players anymore. And you know, they're relying on Jonathan Doku, who has had a very indifferent season for City. Leandro Trossard, who's arguably a rotation player at Arsenal. Belgium have got a good group, but outside of the group is probably where you would wonder if they could do it.
No, I'd agree with that. Just looking at that Belgium squad from what it was to what it is now, as you said, a bit of a drop off.
Who's the young lad for them? Sorry, Mason.
That's right, mate.
Was it
Openda?
Oh, Bakayoko. He plays a lot for them. He's decent. Sorry.
PSV.
PSV. Yeah. Jonathan Baku.
Yeah, he qualifies. He tore us to shreds. He looked really, really good. But that will do us for tonight, gents. Colin, thanks for coming on, giving your predictions, mate.
Always a pleasure, gents. Thanks very much for having us, and thanks for listening, listeners.
Johnny, I've managed to keep you and Jamie apart here tonight, so I'm quite pleased. But in all seriousness, thanks for coming on.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Jamie and I do it all out of love, don't we, mate?
Don't call me fucking mate. The reality of it is that me and Johnny probably have these conversations every single day. So by the time it gets to the point of the podcast, then you just see the after effects, shall we say? He's brutal. He's brutal though when it comes to game time. He's a proper shithouse when it comes to game time. He either goes missing or he goes fucking non-stop. So he does. I'm telling you, WhatsApp either blows up or it goes hibernation for 3 days. You never get no in between with Johnny.
Brilliant. Yeah, that phone might's go off, mate. Turn it off till the next game. But Jamie, thanks for coming on. We'll be back with the Premier League preview once the Euros is all done. We've got to talk about it, so I won't sort of throw anything out there, but I'm sure there will be another show coming as well to look forward to keep a lookout for that. But as always, thanks for listening and take care.